Hey guys, welcome back to Vikings Playbook. As always, your Sunday starts here, and we got a great show with you with great guests. So I want to welcome everyone to the podcast tonight. As you saw with the intro, we do have the needle with us. We got Cam Dantzler Sr. that's going to be joining us tonight. He was a Vikings cornerback from 2020 to 2022. And recently, this last season, he played with the Louisville Kings. They made it to the UFL playoffs. That's Cam Dantzler. You can follow him on X and Insta. That's Cam Dantzler 3. And then we also have a double guest because tonight we also got Vikes Now, Dustin Baker. You can follow him on X, Dust Baker, and then also check out Vikes Now on X and then their website, vikesnow.com. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome these guys onto the stage. That's Dustin Baker and Cam Dantzler Sr. All right, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
I can't hear anything.
Did you lose audio, Cam? You might have to jump out and then jump back in.
I am doing well. It was a lackluster preseason game, but sometimes they're just like that. Nevertheless, I'm glad to be here.
Let me just throw this quick message to Cam, see if he can actually see this. Jump out and come back in. I don't know if he can hear that, but jump out.
I can't hear anything. You can hear me? I can't hear y'all.
So we'll see if Cam can see the messages on there, and hopefully he jumps out and reconnects with us. So we'll wait for Cam to come back on with us. But Cam Dantzler on with us tonight, Dustin Baker, and hopefully Cam's able to reconnect, and his audio and mic was all working right before we went live. So not sure what happened there. But anyways, we had a game tonight, and earlier we had Ravens Vikings. We have that preseason game number 2 to discuss today. And there was a lot to take away from that game. That's going to be our very first topic that we talk about. I'll wait until Cam's able to reconnect because I do have some sponsors I want to make sure that I go ahead and give a shout out. And that's starting with That's Badass Wood Art. Vikings Playbook is brought to you by our podcast sponsor, That's Badass Wood Art. Go to their website and use code PLAYBOOK to receive 10% off on any products on their website. That's pretty badass. And one more right before we try his mic out. I also want to make sure that I give a shout out to Sports Legends USA. They're actually going to be our podcast sponsor for this next giveaway that we have. That's sportslegendsusa.com. The Vikings Playbook podcast is brought to you by sportslegendsusa.com. Check out their website for all of your Minnesota Vikings legends, upcoming appearances, and signings. And remember to use code PLAYBOOK for 15% off in their shop for your favorite merchandise. Sports Legends USA, connecting sports legends with fans, one legacy at a time. And guys, it wouldn't be complete if we didn't show you the next giveaway. Compliments of Ben, the CEO over there at Sports Legends USA.
Hey guys, I'm Ben, CEO of Sports Legends USA, where we partner with Viking legends such as Carl Eller and help them promote their brands with giveaways, memorabilia, sponsorships, and allowing you guys to connect with them on social media and the website.
Can't thank Ben enough. Carl Eller, autographed jersey. It's going to be our next giveaway for Vikings Playbook. Make sure that you go to YouTube, subscribe Vikes Playbook. Once we get to 400 subscribers, one of you lucky subscribers are going to win this Carl Eller jersey. Again, that's all compliments of Ben and Sports Legends USA. Thanks, guys.
SKOL.
And guys, I want to make sure that I bring Cam back on. Cam, can you hear us on your end?
Yes, sir.
All right, we can hear you. It looks like we're good to go. So I want to go ahead and thank and welcome Cam Dantzler Sr. for joining the show. Like I said, he was a Vikings corner from 2020 to 2022. Definitely want to thank you on. Cam, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing great. Dustin's on with me from Vikes Now. I'm not sure if you know or remember Dustin, but I know, Dustin, we talked about you also being a fan of Cam's. So kind of cool to have you on, Cam, getting to talk to you a little bit. You spent this last season with the Louisville Kings. You
Yes,
guys
sir.
made it into playoffs. How'd your season go this year?
It was great. We won a championship. So overall, we accomplished what the main goal was at the beginning of training camp. Um, Me individually, I feel like I had a great season as well, and I'm just looking for another opportunity at the next level.
Well, we did have a preseason game tonight. So a lot of the NFL teams in their preseason games, they're also looking to probably after this preseason game number 2, possibly look into the free agent pool to see who's out there to fill maybe some gaps and holes. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. I want to thank all the followers that are out there. I see people in the chat. I appreciate you guys jumping in. And if you have any questions for either myself, or Dustin Baker or Cam Dantzler Sr., make sure that you guys throw them into the chat and we'll go ahead and answer them the best that we possibly can. So thanks for joining us tonight, guys. And first topic that we want to jump into, like I said, it's going to be tonight or today's game that we had against the Ravens. So we finished 13-3. It's not really a score thing for today. We had the joint practices, so we're going to talk about that too. But we had the preseason game today, and that's the thing that's on the forefront of everyone's mind. Dustin, is how did today's game go, and what's your takeaways from today?
Well, it depends on if you want to think positively or negatively out of the gate. I will say positively that Ty Felton, in my estimation, has gone from a guy who we didn't really know like what to expect maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Was he just another, crazy draft pick that we're not sure how it's going to work out, or could he, develop like players do? And it looks like he's developing like players do. So I'm excited for him to hopefully embrace that WR4 role. On the negative aspect, I would say by the time we got to second quarter, but basically kind of when Wentz was in there, I just expected there to be no touchdowns. The offense had no fluidity, and it's as if this team just has a defensive calling card because Brian Flores is so good at his job. And that continues to be odd to me because, I mean, this is just preseason, so with the first team players didn't play and all that. But Kevin O'Connell is an offense first coach, former quarterback, offensive coordinator for the champion Rams 5 years ago. So it's if these two worlds can ever merge where you have an offense first head coach with this hellfire defense that's looked great in the preseason and training camp, we could be on to something. I think I've been asking for that for a long time. That with the Vikings, it always seems like one side is on, the other side is not. Hopefully, with Kyler Murray in town, they could come together and do something glorious.
Now I took down some different notes in here, and Cam, I'm gonna kind of get your first initial takeaways too from the game, but uh, here's some different key storylines and top moments. But one of the things that Dustin, and I probably look at and the big takeaway, the top moments you kind of talk about with Ty Felton. He's kind of stood out at practice. Of course, Miles Price, he's been making a huge impression in the Giants game, joint practices. But again, those two are going at it, like you said, for that wide receiver 4 position. And I see Miles Price in the lead for it. JJ McCarthy, that 50-yard bomb really stuck out to me. But Cam, what was a big takeaway for you, whether you were watching the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball of today's game?
I feel like today my focus is really on the offense because I know y'all have a lot of questions on the quarterback situation, get the offense going. So I just felt like seeing JJ out there today, he kind of built a little confidence today. He threw the ball deep, challenged himself because I feel like in the past he wasn't really challenging the ball vertical. He was really focused on not messing up, if I would say. So I feel he got a little of that confidence today, and they have some great receivers. Like you said, the receiver battle for wide receiver 4, that's going to be a very good one because both those guys actually play special teams as well, and also some great returners. So that's going to be a tough one for wide receiver 4. But overall, like you said, the defense, Brian Flores, he's a mastermind behind the defense. Great defense in my opinion. I see no problems with there. So overall, just got to work on building that confidence offensively.
Now, and I can't remember, did you get to play a little bit with Dwight McGlothern? Was he there when you were there?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, that quarterback battle between Zamiah Vaughn and Dwight McGlothern, that kind of went into that second half where that was, I think, a big focus, for this team because Dwight McGlothern's Nudie, as they call him. He's kind of been a fan favorite, but I think, Zamiah Vaughn, he's a second-year player now. He kind of came on a little bit in training camp last year, but Dwight was able to kind of hold him off. This year, I think it's a little bit tighter. And Dustin, you can jump in on this too, but I think we got two big cornerback battles, and Zamiah Vaughn, Dwight McGlothern, I think fighting for that fifth cornerback spot, and then for CB3, CB4, it might be a toss up between James Pierre, who was acquired in the offseason, and then also rookie newcomer, uh, Chuck Demings.
Yeah.
I think we're going on excitement for McLaughlin in the third straight year because he's like Cam, he's tall, and the Vikings really haven't had a big corner in a while. And so when we see a guy that has those measurables, we're like, gotta be sweet if he blossomed, because then we'd finally have a guy who could work on the outside with that length and with that height. But to date, he's only been kind of a fringe regular season roster guy. So I
Mhm.
would say that this will end up being the CB5 job. I don't know if either of those guys will get in. Hopefully, they don't have to play a whole bunch because the rest of the guys stay healthy. But I would probably give a slight edge to McLaughlin if they're gonna. There was also one year not long ago where they kept 4 corners and then like 6
Right.
safeties, and that feels, if Harrison Smith does come back, it feels like we could be heading towards that.
Mhm.
On CB3, if we're going to do, I know, the roster builder here in a little while, I would say that's probably James Pierre's job. I know that we have a lot of excitement about Demings, but you have to remember this team doesn't like to put rookies on the field right away. Like it takes a while, and maybe that's because Kwesi wasn't the greatest drafter ever, but James Pierre was fantastic in about 300 something, 400 something snaps for the Steelers last year. Like if you go by PFF grades, he was the best, like even on the Vikings roster that they would have. So if we're going to look for who's on the field against the Packers 3 weeks from tomorrow at CB3, I would say it's probably James Pierre. But that doesn't mean that I'm low on Demings. I just think he'll need time to acclimate.
Yeah, and when it comes to a CB, battle, and I know that you've been in those as well too, Cam. Uh,
Hmm.
how big is it, for, does it come down to more of your technical skills, or how much does the physical part of it, as far as being a tall corner, how much does that help you as far as the physical attributes versus the technical aspect of it?
Overall, honestly, I just think it mostly comes from know what you're doing, knowing the defense top to bottom. So I feel like you could have the advantage more than the physical attribute of anything else. Because I feel like when I first came in my rookie year, it was just physical. I just had a chip on my shoulder. So I just I had a great rookie mini camp and training camp. So I just feel like you just have to have that mindset to take a step further than everybody else and just knowing the playbook, because everybody in the NFL can play, and you there for a reason. So I just feel like taking your game to another level is like having those little small details in your game can elevate you to that, next spot in life. So it's like when I battled with Andrew Booth in
Mhm.
2024, I had to, use my IQ more than him, because he was a guy that was young. He was a great football player. I just had, outsmart him, just to, take that step further.
I
And when you're
remember,
playing, yeah, go ahead, Dustin.
real quick, Steve, I was going to say, I remember in 2020, at Cam's first training camp, Adam Thielen said to a reporter, or he came up and said to somebody that number 27 is going to be good. And I remember I didn't have all the numbers memorized for all the rookies, and I was like, "Who's he talking about?" And then I saw he was talking about Cam, and I remember writing about that. That just came to mind.
Cam, when you played, so when you're facing a receiver, because you got to face up against Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So when you're facing a guy like that in practice, we got a young rookie, Chuck Demings, Charles Demings, coming from Stephen F. Austin. He comes in here out of nowhere, really. I mean, we drafted him in the 6th round, but he has came in and really showed out in practice, and he's even been able to, you know, kind of contain or frustrate Justin Jefferson at times, at
Mhm.
least. to where he's been flashing in practice, and he's flashing, again a little bit in the preseason as well. But he plays a physical style of brand of football, to where he's very physical off the line with wide receivers. Um, how do you think that style fits with some of the wide receivers in the NFL at the top level? Do you need to be a more physical off the line? I see it like a lot of our corners in the
Mhm.
past, at least lately, especially last year. A lot of them like to play off, and I don't see that they play a lot of physical um, man-to-man coverage on the receiver. There's usually just a lot of leeway and gap that we've been
Yeah.
giving wide receivers. So what are your thoughts of the best way to play, especially these top tier wide receivers in the NFL?
Hug the line of scrimmage. Receivers, and I'll tell you, in today's league, they don't like to be touched. So if you hug the line of scrimmage, put hands on now, like Chuck's been doing, they don't like that. It frustrates them. It throws off timing. And so I just like, his attitude that he came into training camp with was a great attitude. I don't care who Justin Jefferson is. Like, I'm gonna see him as a nobody, like you gotta have that mindset as playing corner, especially as a young guy going against a top receiver like Justin. You just have to have that chip on your shoulder each and every time you face him. It got to be personal. So you have to, hug the line of scrimmage, challenge yourself, put hands on.
Now, we saw it in today, some different top moments that we had. We talked a little bit about the corners. We also had, and somebody said in the comments, Jacob Thomas. So young Jacob Thomas, he's an undrafted free agent safety
Mhm.
that has came into the team. So not to be confused with our rookie third rounder, Jacoby Thomas, who's been injured, which has really given some spotlight to Thomas to really come play.
Yeah.
But he was impressive. He had an interception in the last week's game against the Giants, and he almost came away with another interception today against the Ravens. And he was impressive today. He had 6 tackles. He had a pass breakup and a pass deflection, a tackle for loss as well too. So I mean, undrafted free agent, kind of coming out of nowhere, and with Harrison Smith not on this roster, Jacoby Thomas dealing with some injury stuff. We have seen Theo Jackson dealing with some injury stuff as well too. Jay Ward is kind of potentially stepping up into that Harrison Smith like role. We saw Jay Ward actually playing today, so most of the starters didn't play. I would consider Jay Ward a possible starter, and we'll talk about that, Dustin, when we get into the 53-man builder. But he's possibly filling that role. And then you have Metellus in the safety area, and I think that's one of the areas, especially with Jacob Thomas stepping up, where we're going to have to take a look at, do we need to add somebody to that safety room? We don't know if Harrison Smith is going to come back, or at least right away. That could be an area that we need to look at in the free agency realm, to where we might want to bring in another body, at least to take a look at before this third preseason game. Dustin?
Yeah, I think Quandre Diggs would be a good example. If we're gonna do the Nolan Teasley thing, you can go back to that wishing well from the
Mhm.
Seattle days. I personally think Harrison Smith is coming back. Like, some of the people that I trust over these years have said, "Yeah, he's coming back," and I'm like, "Well, what the hell's taking so long?" We're a long way into this thing, and he doesn't seem like the guy who's usually wanted to skip training camp. But I digress. So yeah, every year, there's always one UDFA who springs up. We thought it was Dylan Bell back in May and June, and he had a good game today, but he was quiet all of training camp. And Jacob Thomas could be that guy, not to be confused with Javier Thomas, a safety, and as you said,
Right.
Jacoby
A lot of
Thomas. There's a lot of
Thomases.
Thomases. And Jacob Roberts, who is a linebacker, also on draft or from the CFL, I believe. He's played well in back-to-back preseason games. So I will say, yes, they could explore somebody after Jamal Adams went down. I would expect it to be somebody that Brian Flores or Nolan Teasley has been connected to in the past, or maybe somebody from O'Connell's Rams days. But to me, this boils down to Harrison Smith. If he makes this simple, if he looks at the bat signal that we've put out on Twitter, this can be elementary. Come back. Maybe you don't have to play 800 snaps, but come back. We lost Jamal Adams. What do you want us to do about this? It's pretty straightforward. And there's a part of me that thinks, if Harrison Smith sees this roster, sees that Kyler Murray's in town, does he really want to risk not being a part of something that could be special? Like, let's say they get really good the moment he leaves, or they get to the NFC Championship. He's probably going to look in the mirror and go, "Damn it, what the hell's going on?" So Harrison Smith can fix this all by himself, this safety need.
Cam, do you keep in touch with Harrison Smith at all?
Text him.
I let Harrison Smith, have his piece. He probably on the golf course somewhere. So, but man, it's to what Dustin said. Taking a few plays for Harrison, that's impossible. He's gonna want to play the whole game. He's not going to come out. That's just type of guy he is. He's just have that grit when he's on the field. He's a different person when he's on the field. So it's kind of like that's a tough decision because I just feel like. I don't know, but what's his name? Jacob or Jacoby Thomas, the undrafted.
We got two of them. Jacob Thomas is the undrafted. The third round safety is Jacoby Thomas.
Yeah, Jacob Thomas. So he reminds me of Cam Bynum. He's always around the ball. He seems like he's very smart in the back end. He takes control when he's on the field. So he gives me Cam Bynum type vibes. So I feel like you said, he'll be a steal for the Vikings for sure.
He kind of seems like he likes to try to go the quarterback into throwing and try and disguise in what he's doing. That was very Cam Bynum like. Also in this game, different battles that we had to keep an eye on. So we mentioned Ty Felton earlier, and in that wide receiver battle, I saw a lot of Dylan Bell. He got targeted 9 times today, had 6 receptions. He had I think a fantastic day today for Dylan Bell. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he got was in that 6 to 8 yard range as far as the type of catches that he was getting. It wasn't a 50-yard bomb like Ty Felton had. So we had the Ty Felton Miles Price, which we can touch on, Dustin, but and you did a little bit, but let's look at wide receiver 6, and that's if we keep, and I do think that we keep 6 wide receivers, especially if Miles Price gets into the wide receiver 4 discussion, because then it's even more, we want to keep him fresh. So, maybe he's getting less work as a returner. And that's where, maybe we've seen Ty Felton back there. We've seen Dante Fleming back there. It's a possibility that we could see Jayshon Jones. He's done that in the past. We know Devon Claiborne's been back there. And then you also have Dylan Bell that can do some of that. And we didn't see a whole lot of Dante Fleming today. Jayshon Jones had a good day before the fumble. But thoughts on wide receiver 6?
Okay, so it's going to be tricky roster math-wise to keep 6 wide receivers if they want to have 4 halfbacks: Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Damon Claiborne, and Xavier Scott. Like, normally we can say, well, yeah, just keep 6 wide receivers. But when we get into the exercise of the roster tool, like, spots get dicey, believe me, when you try to cut that thing down. And, coaches know it more than I do. So I would say WR6 is kind of a long shot that they would keep 6 unless there's one who's designated for special teams. But if indeed they do that, Dylan Bell did show today that he can show that very diet Deebo Samuel-like skill set that we think that he has, very diet. And then Fleming, to me, looks as impressive, but these guys are ones that I'm pretty damn sure will end up on the practice squad for sure if we can sneak them there. And then when we get prepared for the Packers in 3 weeks, I would say that they probably keep 5 wide receivers, with hopefully Miles Price getting more attention as a pass catcher, because I had no idea last week when he caught that one-handed catch. I was shocked. I did not know that he had that in his bag. I expected it like, hey, maybe he could catch some passes this year and be a little bit of a weapon. But if he could do that, I'm pretty sure that he can be a WR5 at the very least. I expect them to keep 5 wide receivers. I would obviously have no objection if Bell sneaks his way onto the active roster.
So when we take a look at the quarterback play today, I really thought that we were going to see more of JJ McCarthy. Now it sounds like he got a little banged up and he came out maybe a series early, but I would have expected him to get an entire half. Now he got 4 series. Carson Wentz only got 2 series. They roughly played a quarter plus each, roughly. But again, neither of these guys. We know that JJ McCarthy, KOC has said is QB2, but he wants it to remain competitive. Now, the last 2 preseason games today and against the Giants, Carson Wentz has looked like the far better, more calm and comfortable quarterback. Cam, what did you see today from the 2 quarterbacks? And I know Max Brosmer played today as well too. But between JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz, the battle is who's going to be and who should be quarterback 2.
Ooh, that's kind of a tough one.
So put yourself in a player's shoes. You
Yeah.
know, who do you want rolling from what you have seen at quarterback too?
I'll say Carson Wentz because he got the more veteran role. He's been in the shoes, a lot. So he's made plays. NFL a lot. So I feel like just having that vet role to back up Kyler Murray would be great. And JJ McCarthy can, continue to learn from those two guys.
Yeah, Dustin, what were your thoughts today? Because I mean, we had you know, JJ showed the long ball, and that was impressive. That was nice to see early. But then again, he still had some inconsistencies today. And Carson Wentz was 9 of 11 for 92 yards, and he other than taking a sack, there's really not any big knocks on Carson Wentz from today. He got the offense moving. He only had 2 series. The lone field goal that we had right before half was orchestrated by Carson Wentz, helping to get that offense moving into position. Now, neither of these quarterbacks, I don't want to say that they had great pass blocking today. The run blocking was atrocious, in my opinion, today. We did not get anything on the ground. 8 rushes for 18 yards for Damon Claiborne. That type of a clip is not going to get it done. And that was your second team offensive line in the run blocking. We just couldn't get it going today on the run, and obviously that would have helped both of these quarterbacks, but they both had to deal with that today with the run game not getting going, and it was really put on the shoulders of both of these guys. But Carson Wentz was at least able to, complete more passes and kind of get the offense rolling a little bit.
Is cliche to say, but I'm going to say it anyhow. We got the full JJ McCarthy experience today. We got the first couple passes sailed over dudes' heads. We're just used to that by now, so we forgave him really quickly. Then he had the sweet toss to Ty Felton. We stood up off of our couches and said, "That's the guy that I want. That's awesome. Life is going good." And then in the red zone, he misses Miles Price there, wide open touchdown. We would be talking very differently right now. And then after 3 or 4 drives, Carson Wentz comes in and looks better because he simply gets the ball out quicker and he processes the game faster. And then 2 hours later, our phones buzz and say McCarthy's hurt. He's banged up. This is the entire experience of JJ McCarthy through 2 seasons. Like it was all in one 5-hour span. So the thing that I'm most concerned about for McCarthy is for the last offseason going on for 8 months, we were told he improved his mechanics. He's going to take the next leap. It looks like he's regressed. Like I know this is preseason, and preseason is habitual fool's gold. Sometimes dudes like Gabriel Murphy last year balled out, 2.5 sacks against the Patriots, got cut 2 weeks later. So I always caveat that with examples, or like Kyle Sloter was the eternal baller in preseason, and that just never translated. But I'm worried about McCarthy because if he ends up being QB3 on this depth chart, he's going to be right in that boat as Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, where we think he could be good in the future, but we don't know if that's actually true. And I think the biggest litmus test will be if the Vikings are good. Let's say they are 5-2, 6-3, some shit like that, and Kyler Murray twists his ankle or something. Will they really trust McCarthy if they're in a playoff chase to get his upside, or will they go with even Steven Eddie, like Steady Eddie, Carson Wentz, who we know can go 500 over the span of 4 or 5 games? Like it's going to be a real humdinger to figure out what they do, because if you're going to do it based on like a safety net, there's nothing safe about McCarthy right now.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good synopsis of what we've experienced, at least in the JJ McCarthy era. You got to stay healthy. Now he did come out and say that he's healthy, he could play right now. But again, like you mentioned, still PA and Pete Bursich were talking about, is he throwing the ball too fast? That was something that was a talker that I've brought up many times and others last year, and we saw some drop balls, at least one main one, where it's a close throw and you're rocket firing it in there, and it was a little bit high. That's a hard catch. He did miss Miles Price, like you said, and now he was wide open at that point, and that's something that I sent out a tweet. But then he also missed the play before that, where he shot high on a wide open Ty Felton in the back of the end zone as well too. So there were opportunities there, and it's almost like we've had quarterbacks where they don't have a strong enough arm. it's almost like sometimes he's got too strong of an arm. And, he's just, got to reel it in a little bit. And I think that's where the inaccuracies, missed opportunities, you can't have that. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. But if I'm looking at QB2, I think I feel more comfortable if I was a veteran on that team, knowing that I got Carson Wentz that can come in and what I've seen with him in the game, as long as he can stay healthy as well and isn't sacrificing his body to where now he's out there with one arm trying to get it done. That's who I feel more comfortable with. Going back to the defensive side of the ball, we did see on the defensive line. Now, we saw Caleb Banks out there, Dominique Orange, and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. That was the first set of inside defensive linemen that we saw out there. So we had our 2 rookies out there getting snaps, and then Tyrion Ingram Dawkins in his second year. Now, what that tells me is, and we saw some Elijah Williams out there too. So what that tells me is Levi Drake Rodriguez and Jalen Redmond are locks as your 2 starters, and we may be looking for our 3rd starter on the inside defensive line. Out of those 3 that started today, and I would throw Elijah Williams in that mix too. Who's maybe got the lead for being that 3rd guy that's going to be starting alongside Levi Drake Rodriguez and Redmond in week 1? Dustin?
All right, so if we're gonna go with that lineup, and I don't know if it's ultra important, like who starts, who's like the guy on the field the first snap, because we see that Brian Flores isn't afraid to throw out a game. If you already have Levi Drake Rodriguez in there, he's kind of the big body that Big Citrus would fill, and then Tyrion Ingram Dawkins allegedly is going to be kind of a tweener on the edge. So because Caleb Banks has been healthy, and that was our big paranoia in May and stuff like that, is he actually going to play? And he's been at training camp. I would say in that scenario, probably Caleb Banks if we're going to bet on who's going to be on the field first. But I will reiterate that the snap count at the end of the game could be markedly different, where Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, because he's, I guess, evolving into more of a OLB, that he could be out snap Banks. But I think symbolically, as the first round pick, and he's evidently, the foot is fine, I would say with that hypothetical, give me Caleb Banks.
Now, another caveat to that question is what we saw today from our edge guys, our outside linebackers. So we saw a lot of Tyler Batty, Chaz Chambliss, and Bo Richter today. Do we need to go out and sign somebody? Cam, from what you saw today on the edge rush behind Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner, who's looked super impressive, do we need to go out and get somebody, or, how do the guys look like tonight or today?
They look pretty good to me. I feel like Fleury's going to put them in position to make plays. He's going to disguise everything, every play. So I feel like as of right now, today, I feel like those guys are in a great position. I feel like there's no need, to go look out for an outside linebacker.
Dustin, if Tyrion Ingram Dawkins is able to play a little bit on the outside too, what are your thoughts? Do we have to go get somebody? I've been looking and wanting us to go out and get an edge. We're sitting with $22+ million in cap space, salary cap wise. We have the money to go out and get a player or two. If there's somebody that can be a better depth piece, a number 3 rotational guy, why not?
I agree with Cam that they look just fine today. But I will say, if I could be promised Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner will play 17 games, then I would say, nope, we're fine. But nobody can promise that. So I will say, absolutely, you need an edge rusher, because what happens if Andrew Van Ginkel hurts a hamstring tomorrow? Right. Do we really want Dallas Turner and Tyler Batty starting week 1 against the Packers? No disrespect to Batty, but I would rather have Leonard Floyd, who played with Kevin O'Connell on that Rams team that I already mentioned on the show. There's always this bonanza of decent edge rushers on the free agent market. Like there's Hassan Reddick. We just saw Jadeveon Clowney went back to the Texans, was it? Von Miller signed with the Cowboys. There's always, like, even when we get into like November and stuff, there's always at least 3 or 4 edge rushers that can come rush the passer on third down. So I would say absolutely, just to hedge the bet against injury, just like we signed Jamal Adams. Like we got richer at a spot that, hey, just in case something happens, why don't we have this guy if Harrison Smith doesn't come back? So we got Jamal Adams. So Leonard Floyd is the one I continue to bang the drum for because he knows O'Connell. O'Connell should have him like right on his contacts on his phone. And he was productive with the Falcons last year. So give me Leonard Floyd for $6 million or whatever.
All right, so let's just jump into topic number 2 because that's going to get into some of our battles, our position battles that we're going to have, and that's going to be the 53-man roster. You know, who's on it now? Obviously, this is going to change, and we may bring in some more free agents. We've even brought some in the last 10 days. But if we bring in more individuals, let's just look at who's on our roster right now. In order to do that, we're going to go to actually the vikesnow.com website, and under tools. You guys have built a 53-man roster builder, and shout out to your partner over there on Vikes Now, Yannick Eckhart, put this together, the 53-man roster. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, guys, and we're going to go ahead and take a look. So let's go ahead. Let me get rid of that and that. Let's add this to the change. All right. So we're going to take a look at the 53-man roster. I don't know if I can get rid of this ad. There we go. Perfect. All right. So the 53-man roster, this is, again, available on Vikes Now in tools. They have the 53-man roster builder with the live roster counter, auto saving selections. You can print it out when you're done. Pretty cool stuff. And it keeps track of your roster and how many players are remaining or if you're over. So let's go ahead and take a look at each position real quick. And I'm going to get takes from both of you guys. It's kind of going to be a joint effort between you, Dustin, myself, and Cam. Let's go ahead and take a look at our quarterbacks. Are we in agreement that we're probably going to keep Cam or Kyler Murray? We're going to keep JJ McCarthy and probably Carson Wentz. Max Brosmer probably cut. We're probably keeping 3 on this list unless there's a trade that happens, right?
Right.
Show enough.
Okay, we're going to go to the running back. We know Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason's are locks. Now, Damon Claiborne, Xavier Scott, and Jamar Jefferson. You know, I would have to say for sure Damon Claiborne's going to be there myself.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Xavier Scott on the bubble? I don't know if there's enough room for a 4th running back when fullback's coming up next, and we know that we're going to probably keep Max Bredesen. He's not going anywhere. He didn't play today because he's on the roster.
Yeah, probably 3. Because I remember when I was there, we kept CJ Ham as the 4th, but he did everything else. CJ did everything. So,
and Max sounds like he's the next CJ Ham.
So might be a tough one.
I would love to keep Xavier Scott here, but it's something maybe if we get to the end of this exercise and it says 52 out of 53, we can go back. But for these purposes, I would put him back on the practice squad, although he probably deserves a spot on a regular season roster.
Yeah, Xavier Scott looked decent today. He's really good in the screen game. Once he gets in the open field, that man can create some plays in the screen game. But Damon Claiborne has really flashed some things. He's a 6th-round pick rookie. I just don't see the Vikings, leaving him out there on the practice squad. Let's move to fullback. Yeah, 0 chance. Max Bredesen, this is a lock, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's go to the next position. We're going to go to wide receiver. Are we thinking 6th? Let's just go ahead and count them down. We know Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, Juwan Jennings. Those are our starting 3. Miles Price, Ty Felton. We think that they're in a battle for wide receiver 4 and 5. And Miles Price is your lead returner, punt, and kick. So are these 2 a lock with Ty Felton? Again, it's his sophomore year. And, other than, some key drops that we've seen him have, he's played really well in training camp. And he played good today. Both these guys are locks, right?
I don't think it applies here, but I want to give a disclaimer to everybody watching and you 2 guys. There's always one stunning roster cut that we're like, what? And it seems like it happens once per year. We're like, oh, like Armin Watts one year comes to mind. And you might even been on that team, Cameron. Like it was like oh my God, they cut him. But I
Yeah.
would say that's not going to happen to Felton. So I will say Felton, and then Price. I think is too effective as a blossoming pass catcher and certainly as the punt return man. I think they'll keep these 5 and leave it at that.
Do we see a 6th?
It seems like
Dust-
overkill for the way the Vikings are usually constructed. Maybe if
and
they
we can always
think,
come back to this too.
yeah, I don't think we'll have that optionality because trust me, these spots fill up. But if they fear Dylan Bell will be swiped immediately, then maybe, but we shall see.
That will be a dangerous thing if he's out there. I do think that if he is not on this roster, he will be on someone else's. I think he's raw. He's got a lot of things that he can work on and improve. But there's definitely some talent and potential behind that. I think Jayshon Jones, again, really reliable. He had a fumble today, but a very good route runner, good hands. Dante Fleming pops off the screen. I'd like him as well. But hey, not everyone can make the team. Tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver, of course. But then it gets interesting we saw Gavin Bartholomew. We had a sighting today with Gavin. I want to say he took a 8-yard, actually, it wasn't even that. It was probably a 4-yard pass, and he took it 15 yards today with the yak. So Gavin Bartholomew, Ben Urasek, probably in a battle for that last tight end spot. I don't think Lang and Nesbitt, and as you can see, they have who's on the bubble and long shot. You guys do a great job with this, but we're probably keeping 3. Is it Bartholomew or Urasek?
I think it's Bartholomew simply
Yeah.
because you drafted him last year was it round
He's finally
6?
healthy.
Yeah, and it's like if you drafted him, then why are you cutting him a year later? I actually think they could keep 4 tight ends more so than 4 running backs or 6 wide receivers. I don't know if we'll have room for that, but based on the draft, and Gavin looked great training camp for who Gavin is. Like he's looked healthy. I think everything he does, we're like, oh, holy sweet, this is great because he's like a rookie that we isn't technically a rookie. So I'll take Bartholomew here, and with I would even keep Eurosec and see if we can get away with that at the 53. But I understand if you want to keep only 3.
Cam, what do you think? We keeping 3, or do you think we keep 4 tight ends on this roster?
I think 3, unless the 4th tight end is a big key role on special teams. A guy that's going to run at the 4, hold on punt and kickoff return. But I'll say 3 for right now.
Okay, we're going to keep Gavin Bartholomew. We're going to move on to the offensive line. We know Darrisaw are starters. Brian O'Neill, we know that they're a lock. This is for offensive tackle. Vandermark, who we signed in the offseason, I think he's a lock. And Caleb Tiernan, who is a 3rd-round pick, probably a lock in this situation. Now, we can come back to this once we get to the inside offensive line. So right now, I'm just going to leave the bubbles out there. So let's go to the next one. We know Brandell is going to be there as the starter. Will Fries and Donovan Jackson, they're all starters. So between the 2, we already have 7 offensive linemen. Now, the question is, in the past, we have kept close to 9 or 10 offensive linemen. If we do that, we have individuals like Gavin Gerhardt, who was drafted in the 7th round as a center, Joe Huber, who was on the roster last year, Michael Juergens, who was on the roster last year, who's also a center. We saw Vershawn Lee playing some center today. Delby Mew, Rimac, but I think Bird, Gerhardt, and Huber and Juergens are the question here. And maybe we keep 2 out of this group. And then going back to our offensive tackle, I don't know if Walter Rouse is on this roster.
Well, I think one of the biggest surprise for those that are hardcore Vikings fans is that Rouse was a guard on the first depth chart, and it was like, oh, so we are doing that. If he's a guard and he has that versatility, he has more job security to possibly make this roster. But I will say here, to me, it's kind of the same argument with Gavin Gerhardt. Like you drafted him in round 7. I know that is, a lottery ticket, but are you really going to cut him right away? So it's tricky. Joe Huber is also a guy who had played some snaps last year as a rookie. So I would say there are 2 more to keep. Juergens, I think he's a lock because you have to have a backup center. If this was me, I would pick Juergens and Huber, and then maybe even another guy, but that would get us to 25. And Yeah, that could actually work for 53-man roster.
We can come back to it. Do you want Gerhardt or do you want Walter Rouse?
Let's see. So they have Huber as the backup guard. I don't know if Jurgens has guard utility.
He does. Both of them have played guard in college.
Okay. Then I would go with Gerhardt because you just drafted him. So that would be mine. And we'll get to 25 here. This is a nice even split. 25 on the offense and then hopefully 25 on defense.
That work with you, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Keeping 10? That's what we kept last year. And we had a lot of injuries last year, so there may be some added incentive to be on the safe side in keeping 10. On the defensive line, we know Caleb Banks, Orange, Redmond, Dawkins, Drake Rodriguez. We know that these 5 are locks. Okay, we know that they're going to be on there. I would also say for a 6th guy, for me, I think Elijah Williams is also a lock. I know he's listed as a bubble, but I feel like out of these guys, he feels like more of a likely lock than the rest of them on here.
Yeah, then Adam, we'll see if we can get away with it. I would also point out that Isaiah Loudermilk has a lot of NFL experience, so if they don't keep Elijah Williams, it might be Loudermilk.
So Eric Johnson just got cut.
Yeah, I got to update the...
No, I just was going to point that out. Taki Taimani is somebody that the coaches really like. He left and came back, and like you said, Loudermilk's got some NFL experience. But we saw all these guys out here today getting some time in there, and right now that puts us at 6 defensive linemen. There could be a 7th, but 6 seems like a good number. Once we get to edge, we're looking at Van Ginkel and Turner for sure, and then it gets dicey. We know that we talked about a tweener and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins could play some here, but who do we keep? I think there could be somebody that comes in that gets signed maybe even this week that comes in. But Tyler Batty, Chaz Chambliss, Bo Richter, Cameron Studer, and Kenny Dyson. Who do we keep on this list? From what you saw today, Cam, is there anyone that really stood out to you that you like?
I didn't even watch the second half.
Batty was listed as the OLB3 on the first depth chart. So I would say, you can't just have 2. So some of these guys got to be safe. So I would say Batty, and this really gets tricky because it's a coin flip. I think they've kept 5 edge rushers in the past. I'd have to go double check. But if we can get away with
is both. Higher on the depth chart. Chaz Chambliss played a decent game today, I thought. He had a couple big hits as well. I think
I'd probably go Richter here and see if we can go back to Chambliss at the end.
Okay. Next position, we're looking at linebacker. We know Cashman, Golday, Wilson are going to be on the team. I thought Ivan Pace in the Giants game and in this game today, Ivan Pace, I think, is safe. And a lock probably on this roster, especially with Jamal Adams having his injury. I don't really see us going into it with only 3 inside linebackers.
Yeah. When Jamal Adams hurt his quad, that instantly to me gave Ivan Pace a roster spot. Like, I don't know if they were competing against each other, but the fact that Jamal Adams was here, that was a roster spot, and now they don't have that. So I would say Ivan Pace, you can click. And I would love for Jacob Roberts to make this roster, but I don't know if the math is going to work. So I think this one's pretty elementary.
What do you think, Cam? Cashman, Golday, and Wilson are locks, but
yeah, they're locks for sure.
Ivan Pace Jr., it just feels like, even though he was maybe dicey to be on this team, he came back on a short deal, but I think he's played his butt off to earn himself a roster spot.
Yeah, he looked better this year for sure. Because I've been seeing things about last year that kind of was like a roller coaster. But he's moving this year from what I've seen.
And hopefully we get him back to form that we saw in his rookie year. Quarterback, we know that Brian Murphy Jr., Rogers. We know that Demings is a lock and Pierre is a lock from what we've seen. But we possibly go 5 deep on corner, and if we do, and this is the conversation I had before, if we go 5 deep, we'll have to see if the math works at the end. but if we had to pick between Allen, McLaughlin, and Vaughn as the bubble guys here, and I don't think the rest of these guys are kind of in this conversation for CB5. I think it's more towards McLaughlin and Vaughn. But who are we picking out of this? And Cam, I'm gonna ask you from what you saw today, who you thought the better one is, and Dustin, you let me know who you think we're going with.
Cam Dantzler. But from what I've seen, Zamir, what's his name? Bagwell, he looked pretty good. 34.
So Zamir Vaughn,
yeah.
He had that touchdown saving tackle late in the game. Actually, Dwight McLaughlin and Vaughn both had big tackles near the goal line to kind of stop the Ravens from scoring a touchdown late in that game. Zamir Vaughn, I think is a real shot in overtaking McLaughlin, and it's gonna be tight. That one to me right now is a coin flip.
Yeah,
Dustin, you're the tiebreaker.
I think that this could, hear me out. I think this could be 4, and then they keep Jacob Roberts and then overdose on safeties. I think that could be where we're headed. Like I keep saying, if Harris Smith comes back too. But for this exercise, I would go, oh man, McLaughlin or Vaughn, or just a complete coin flip. Let's go with we'll go with Zamir Vaughn for spirit of the show. And then at safety, I think you want to get to 50. What's our number at?
We're at we're just at 45 right now. We still got 5 more to go yet.
We can keep 5 safeties. So you can pretty much ring them up down the line there.
So Theo Jackson, Jacoby Thomas, Jay Ward, and Jacob Thomas, I think, is probably going
Jacob
to be
Thomas
on this roster.
And Tavir Thomas.
Can we take a 6th one at the safety position? Now, Tavir Thomas is kind of a special teams captain as well, too.
That's why they might keep him, and Vaughn might leave. They might keep 4 corners and 6 safeties. Now that I look at it,
yeah,
they're gonna keep.
I would do here.
Yeah, they would special team purposes as well.
When I said overdose on safeties, this is what I meant.
Yeah, overdose.
And we can always come back to this. And then we know DePaula, Will Reichard, and we have the roster exception for Brett Thorson. So do we say Johnny Hecker here?
I've debated this one, Steve, for
because he doesn't count as a roster spot during the regular season either, right?
Yeah, they're gonna keep him there. He doesn't count.
Yeah, well, he's in the IPP program. He's a Norwegian last name, but he's Australian, so he can sit there. But
we don't have to count him towards.
No, we don't have to count him.
Yeah, so we still have a roster position then.
Yeah, I will continue to say, for anybody that cares, Brett Thorson was the best punter in college football. Why does he need a redshirt year? He's shown that he can hold field goals and extra points.
Absolutely.
I hope he's the full-time punter. Bless his heart, Johnny Hecker. I just don't understand why Brett Thorson has to prove himself as a punter when he was the best punter that there was in college football, and he's shown through 2 preseason games that he can hold just fine. That's my soapbox.
Yeah, and I really think that what I saw from training camp, Brett Thorson did just fine holding for Will Reichard. And I don't think that that's an issue, even though he didn't do that in college. He seems to be very comfortable with it. Johnny Hecker's been solid too, but it'll be interesting. He doesn't cost a roster spot. Do you keep both guys on here, or do you say, hey, we're going to go with the young guy and we're going to use that extra roster spot to maybe keep a 5th corner?
Yeah, they're definitely
and possibly a 6th receiver.
I know they're going 6 receiver for sure. KO's going 6 receivers. I was just going to say, Bell. What's his name? Something Bell, the receiver. I know he's going to make it.
Dylan Bell. So let's just say that we kept Brett Thorson. We can potentially go grab Zamir Vaughn.
Then you won't be able to get Bell.
No. We still can, because technically he shouldn't count as a roster spot, right?
Oh, I think if he makes the roster, then he's on the roster.
Then he does.
That's my interpretation.
Okay. Well, we might
he's a free.
Well, let's just say we did keep a 6th receiver. Is it Dylan Bell over Dante Fleming and Jay Sean Jones? So if we did this at 53, we got 24 on defense, 26 on offense, 3 specialists. Are we happy with this?
I'd be happy if Cam Dance was on there, but it's okay.
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that here coming up. Let's view our
We're
results.
happy.
This is a really cool tool. You guys out there, as fans, you guys can play with it and show us your 53-man roster. Go to Vikes now. Go to tools. You can play with this as well, and look at the stats that it's going to give you. It's not only going to give you your 53-man roster. It's going to break down some stats too. Your average age, offense, defense, and special teams, as far as how many players you kept, and some of the biggest takes that you had. For us, it was Jacob Thomas and keeping him. I really don't think that's a long shot right now at this point. He's been getting reps
Yeah.
with the ones.
It was when we built the tool.
Correct. Damon Claiborne. I don't think he's a bubble player at this point. Although today, I don't think that you can blame him for the running. I just think there just wasn't lanes for anyone to run in. And then Dylan Bell. That's probably the biggest risk that we probably did on this roster, in my opinion.
I bet we would have, if in real life, we probably would keep an extra edge like Chaz Chambliss and make it even 25 defense, 25 offense. They kept Chaz Chambliss last year. I don't think he's regressed. So if we had to have a mulligan, I would probably do that.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the chat. Go ahead, let us know, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. We're going to go ahead and move into the next topic as well, and that's going to be Cam. Where are you at right now? Because I want to show this video here real quick of you actually. I need to stop my screen and share a new screen here. And this is a video of you. And looks like you've been doing some workouts and you're trying to keep yourself in shape. You just came off of a championship, like you said, with the Louisville Kings.
Mhm.
You want to make a return to the NFL. Let's just take a look at this here real quick. I'm going to blow this up. And this is you. And you're doing some workouts here.
To keep grinding, young nigga, they'll see it later. Trying to beat the odds, we got the odds in our favor. Why they don't love you, why you ain't ran you up no paper? Ain't thinking big enough, I think the crib need elevators. Need a hood room, I got Caucasian neighbors. Always wanted to be rich, never had to be famous. Don't know what I do it out, them hard times they made us. They say Laheen, you big, but I don't think that it's that major. They say my nigga coming home soon. Can't slip up, that shit gon' cost you, make the wrong move. Right now, I'm in the bad mood. And as far as everything around me, cash rules, ain't gonna lie, you probably wouldn't know my name without these pro tools. Or you think them boy won't clap, I don't make me show you. But even when they say that money changed, man, that is so true. Every night me and Lino in the booth, know we gon' blow soon. You told me that it's all love, I don't feel it. Look at all these racks piling, that don't heal it. I ain't feel like I'm with these niggas, not even a little bit. Motivation to the young, they know I keep it real. Real shit, niggas flagging in they rap, they ain't kill shit. I'm trying to crack the fucking safe, see if some else fit. How the hell the love
All right, Cam. Oh, I need to. I need to. I think I still got the music going in my background here, but hold on one second. All right, there we go. Yeah, so that's a video of you. Where are you working out and with whom? Who's that? Who's the coach that's in the video?
One way out in Houston. So I go to Houston and I go to Dallas with flight. So I've been back and forth there, just grinding, getting new tools. I haven't really played in the NFL in 2 years, so I just feel like I've learned a lot. My IQ is getting higher. My leadership role is increased. I'm just ready to show them I'm matured and can lead a secondary and develop my game and show that I'm a better player.
Now, Cam, we know that you have been traditionally a cornerback, but if a team came calling and they wanted you to possibly transition to a safety position, do you think you can play that?
Absolutely. I feel like I've been wanting to play safety ever since college, but coaches want to see me as a corner. They say long, rangy. I can run, I can cover, so they moved me to corner. But safety, I feel like that's just natural for me. I love to tackle. I'm a corner that's gonna come tackle. So safety, I love to play in the box, blitz, all that stuff. So I feel like that's something that I can adjust to easily.
what's new in the life of Cam Dantzler? What's something that maybe we don't know other than football, outside of the Louisville Kings winning a UFL title? You know, prepping for an NFL team, you're staying ready in case, especially this week here coming, if a team's looking to call. But what else is going on in the life of Cam Dantzler?
Nothing. I just been, keeping God first, grinding, working out, and being a dad. That's all I've been doing. Like my life is boring, so I'm just, grinding, waiting on the call and another opportunity.
Dustin, what questions you got for Cam? You said you've been a big fan of Cam as well too, when he played for the Vikings. And any questions you got and that you want to shoot towards Cam?
Yeah, I got a few. I don't know if the audience wants to jump in as well. All right, Cam. In 2022, it was Week 5 against the Bears. You had a game-winning fumble
Amir
strip.
Marset.
Yes, I want to know. I've wondered for 4 years. Did you know that you could do that to Amir Smith Marset based on something that you had done to him at practice, or was it just pure on the fly?
And hold on, for those of you that don't know, Amir Smith Marset was actually a Minnesota Viking before he went to the Bears. So there's some background just in case you didn't know. Go ahead, Cam.
It was just muscle memory. There's just something we, preached at practice, attack the ball. And I just seen the opportunity when I got up just to attack the ball and finish the game. And that's what I did.
I haven't seen anything before or after that was quite that all right, I'm just taking that.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken hardly at all about Kyler Murray on the show, and I think you've played against Kyler as a cornerback at least twice. And I guess over the last 5 months since Kyler Murray has been a Viking, there's been differing opinions. There's some that almost treat him like a Jake Locker that is looking to be good for the first time. And there's some like me that say, hey, this guy was already pretty damn good with the Cardinals. Where do you stand on how good Kyler Murray can be? Do you think that he is looking to completely reclaim his name, or do you think he's going to be dropped in the offense and cook?
I feel like he's gonna progress tremendously. You have guys like Justin Jefferson. What's his name? Number 3. The other receiver, what's his name?
Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison, Jordan Jennings. You have those guys to boost your confidence up. So he have a great receiver room. So I feel like he's gonna gain his confidence, and especially a guy like KO. He's a player's coach. So he's gonna, get his confidence back. So I feel like he's gonna have his swagger back this year for sure.
All right. And then my last one. You don't have to answer this, but when I told a couple friends I was going on to talk with Cameron Dantzler, they wanted to know, at the end of the 2022 season, your snap count was reduced, and we never got clarity on what the hell happened. Are you able to tell us, or do you want to keep that quiet?
I mean, I can tell you it's just learning experience. So after my injury, I kind of was anxious to get back with the guys. So the Detroit week, I kind of, gave up my first touchdown of the season to DJ Chark. So I kind of took myself out because, my ankle wasn't fully healed from the high ankle sprain, and they just wanted to go a different route with Duke Shelley, and I handled it unprofessional. I kind of distanced myself from the team. I regret that. Wish I could handle that differently. So that's why it kind of progressed because of that incident. I guess they found a new spark with Duke Shelley, and I kind of handled it unprofessionally. So that's kind of why my plays decreased.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Cam, we got somebody in the chat says, Cam, need to send that workout video to GM Nolan Teasley. Are you sending any Louisville King highlights from this last UFL season? Are you sending them to any teams, GMs? And if you did, do you have a message for any GM or a Nolan Teasley that's out there that might see this podcast and see that, hey, you're staying fresh and maybe they need somebody in the secondary? What would be your message to that GM?
My message would be, I'm ready to play. I'm more mature. I'm a better person than I was before. That's the reason why I'm not in a training camp right now, because my maturity issues when I was with the Vikings, I guess that kind of, got around me being immature. But I've learned, I've grown, I've matured, and I feel like I've learned my lesson from that. I'm ready to play ball, help a team win, and bring in the swagger and confidence in the secondary.
And I think that there's a lot of Vikings fans that we definitely we miss you on the Vikings, and some of the plays like what we saw that Dustin talked about with, we showed the highlights before, but obviously that was a big one against the Bears. And we just remember plays like that. You know, you are a taller corner, long rangy, to where some of these taller wide receivers, you did give us a little bit more of a chance, especially against a wide receiver like a Mike Evans, to where you're a little bit taller, to possibly compete with them, especially in jump ball situations. But again, I think that there's a lot of Vikings fans that still have a lot of love for Cam Dantzler Sr. So it was definitely fun to be able to have you on, give some feedback and analysis on today's game, the 53-man roster, and then give us an update as far as where you are. Um, congratulations on your championship with the
Appreciate you.
UFL Louisville Kings. I think that's awesome.
Yes,
Hopefully the
sir.
family's doing great too.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
we have one more thing before we do final words from you, Cam and Dustin, and that's doing a giveaway, guys. And if you've never done this before, the free card break that we do at the end of each show, I got a pack of cards that I'm going to do a free card break for you guys, and you're going to have to give me in chat. And Cam and Dustin, you can play along as well.
Yeah.
And I need in chat, guys, your NFL player. So go ahead and pick an NFL player. And just so you know, before I show it, it's a 2024. So not somebody that was a rookie in 2025. This is a 2024 pack of cards that I'm opening and ripping here next. I see Tom Brady's off the board. Puka Nakua. Who else, guys? Go ahead and get your players in chat. JSN is now off the board. Joe Burrow is now off the board. Okay, so we got Brady. We got Puka. JSN's off the board. Joe Burrow's off the board. Get your guesses in. Dustin, do you want to get a guess in? Amon-Ra St. Brown is now off the board.
So I'm just guessing what this card might be.
Correct. And if you get it right, basically I mail a card to you. So, if it's a downtown, a kaboom, it could be worth hundreds or thousands potentially on what I rip. And no matter what it is, it gets mailed to you if you guessed the player.
All right. If I get it right, it's going to look rigged. So I'm just going to say something that's unlikely. DK
Jettas
Metcalf
is off the board. Yeah, Jettas is off the board. Jettas was picked 2 weeks ago, and nobody picked a Vikings player, and Jetta was an insert in the card deck that we had. Cam, do you want to take a guess? It's a 2024 pack, so it can't be a rookie from last year.
I'll say Jamar Chase off the board, right?
Jamar Chase is not off the board.
I'll go
Joe
Jamar.
Burrow is off the board, and so is JSN and Puka and Jettas.
I'll go Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. Delton, I see Jacob Rodriguez, but he's not yet going to be in this pack. So it needs to be somebody in 2024. I'll give you a couple seconds here, Delton, if you want to go ahead and get a different guess in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this rip. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the pack. It's going to be 5 cards. So you got 5 opportunities, 5 chances. This is a Panini Donruss 2024 pack. Yes, it's a Aaron Rodgers Jets photo on the front of this pack. Brian Branch is now off the board. You, Nafo, I think you already had Brady. Now you went to. Do you want Gronk or Brady? Mythic.
Sound like you want both.
Yeah, you can't have both. You can have one. Mythic. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the pick. Eamon Worry. Nick Eamon Worry. No, he was a rookie last year.
Nope, it won't work.
So you got to pick somebody else. TB12 is who Mythic Plague wants. Need one more, Delton. I'm going to go ahead and do the rip once I show the cards, Delton. It's going to be too late. Class, you're not too late. Go ahead and jump in. Jackson Dart is now off the board.
Nope.
You can't pick Jackson Dart. Sorry. 2024. He was a 2025 rookie. Bob Swede. Hurry up and get those picks in. Delton, I think Norris is helping you out. You can have Addison, is what Norris says. All right. Very first card. We got a Viking on the very first card. There it is.
Cook.
Look at this. That's a Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Followed by a PS2, Patrick Surtain. Ooh, we got a yellow here. We're going to go from the back first. Oh, I got cards sticking together here. We're going to go from the bottom here, and it's going to be Mark Brunell. That's an oldie.
When I was a kid.
Okay, we're going to go from the back here. And we got a rated rookie, Cornelius Johnson. So no winners yet. And the last card, no winners again. And it's Jordan Travis on the rated rookie on the gold, the yellow press proof. on the yellow press proof. Unfortunately, we didn't have a winner on this one. The big insert card that we had was a rated rookie yellow press proof with Jordan Travis. Nothing big in that deck. But guys, thanks for playing. I appreciate it. We have card breaks every week. Remember, we also have the Carl Eller jersey. Make sure that you're a subscriber. I want to go ahead and I got to take Bob's comment out here, but I want to give Cam and Dustin an opportunity for some last words. Dustin, any last words that you want to give out to the fans and followers out there?
Sure. I don't know that I'll be back on the show before the start of the regular season, so I will lock in my prediction. I think the Vikings will go 11-6 this year. The only thing that's separating from me being more optimistic, because I am a Kyler Murray guy, is the NFC North no longer has a little brother you can kick around. All of these teams are good, like from head to toe. Some years there are two little brothers that you can be like, oh yeah, those guys ain't shit. We don't have that anymore. So I will say, because of the tough schedule, we all know the Brian Flores defense probably won't regress, or if it does, it's still going to be top 10. I have faith that Kyler Murray will distribute the football just fine. And to me, that comes together as a prediction for 11-6. Hopefully Kevin O'Connell gets his first playoff win, because I will keep saying it's really weird that we have a quarterback going in, or a coach going into his 5th season with no playoff wins, and we really don't care. There's nobody saying, hey, hot seat. Like, usually there would be a lot of hot seat chatter about that head coach, but we don't have that. So 11-6, the Vikings may or may not win the NFC North with that record, but I think they're going to be a lot better than last year. And I think we will see Murray seamlessly be the QB1, and I don't think the Vikings will make the Sam Darnold mistake twice in a row. I think they will lock him up, and he'll just be the quarterback for the next 4 to 6 years.
I think very good takes, Dustin. 11-6 is actually was my when the schedule came out, my pre-prediction before training camp started. And I'm kind of sticking with that, taking a look at our schedule. Does make me a little nervous that we haven't been getting our offense going, as well as I would have liked. But 11-6 is still where I'm at. Cam, did you before your last words, did you have a record prediction for the Vikings this season? Whether Cam Dantzler's on the roster or not?
Yeah, I would say I don't want to speak on a record prediction. I have a great season, thanks to the SKOL Nation, thanks to the Viking fans, great fans, by the way. Hopefully we'll see what happens,
All right. Well, Cam, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I know I've had you on before, but it was really great to see you again. I hope you and your family are doing awesome.
Yes, sir.
And, again, I know you've posted some stuff in there about some of your friends in your life and some stuff going on. But whether it's football, friends, family, I'm thinking about you, praying for you.
Appreciate that.
SKOL Vikings. I want to thank everyone out there for being a part of this podcast. Make sure that you go subscribe, get in that drawing as a free subscriber for that Carl Eller autograph jersey, compliments of sportslegendsusa.com. Go ahead and check out their marketplace, their shop. Make sure that you're using that code Vikes Playbook. Make sure you get 15% off at checkout. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Dustin Baker from Vikes Now. Check out their website, the tools that they have. And then Cam Dantzler, NFL teams. If you're out there and you need a secondary player in that, Cam can play safety. He can play corner. He's ready to go. Just fresh off a UFL championship with the Louisville Kings. He's ready to play. He's ready to go. And thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And as always, guys, SKOL Vikings. And we'll see you next time, guys.